Hey everybody, welcome to the Weight Loss by Pete podcast. I'm Pete Weintraub. I'm a permanent weight loss specialist, and I'm very happy today to have Meredith Shirke with me. And Meredith, introduce yourself to everyone watching or
Hey
listening.
everybody, Meredith Shirke here. I'm actually coming to you from Malibu, California, so I'm lucky with weather today, which is nice, but I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So, tell the folks a little bit about yourself. I really liked your story. We talked a little bit yesterday before we were able to schedule this, and you'd mentioned that you were at Cal Berkeley and you were thinking about going the medical school route. And while you do have bio and bioengineering degrees, you decided that people needed help now, and you want to help people right now, and I really like that. So tell the folks out there a little bit about your story and what got you into doing what you do now.
Yeah, definitely. I've always been an athlete. I was an athlete my whole life, and I was a bit of a science geek in grade school. So I wanted to play water polo in college. So I went on to Cal Berkeley and played at Cal Berkeley, and was on track to be a med school student. And it just kind of sat down and looked at how much it would cost and how many years I would be in school, and really, I'm almost 30 now, and I would probably still be in school really with what I wanted to do specialty wise. And if I wanted to get into surgery, anything like that. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to make a hard right turn and I'm going to go for biology and bioengineering instead. So I did water polo, and I also did that. And I didn't do the normal, like, physical sciences route where, everyone's looking at like phys ed and those kind of things that trainers usually go through. I'm much more sciencey on like the lab parts than that. So I did that and graduated biology and bioengineering, and then just right out of college started my own personal training business, and that just kind of grew and grew and grew, and then I have been scaling it ever since.
Awesome. And where can folks find you in case they're interested?
They can go to svelttraining.com, and I know it's kind of a weird name. My business name is called Svelte. It's SVELTE training.com. You can find me there. You can find me at svelte_training at Twitter and on Instagram, and then also Svelte Training at Facebook, facebook.com/Svelte Training.
All right, great. So what we're going to talk about today is, Meredith and I really align well on the mindset stuff. So we want to start off talking about what the biggest failure of most diets that are out there are. And, obviously I've harped on this quite a bit. So to give you guys a change of pace, I'd definitely love to hear what Meredith has to say regarding, diets in general, whether it's weight loss or for health or what have you.
Well, we're in a quick fix society. Everybody has, I have my cell phone right here. I'm on this with you, but I have my cell phone. Everyone's checking everything. We want things really fast. And unfortunately, it doesn't work like that in the health and fitness realm. When you're talking about serious long-term results, it's not going to work. Anything quick fix doesn't work, but we're as a society obsessed with it. And so that's what I think is the biggest issue that I see with a lot of diets, is that people want this instant gratification, but they're not willing to change their mindset for the long-term success. And that's what it really takes. You need to have an identification of why you're doing it, what you're doing it for, really where your failures are coming in, why you're failing, what's causing you to fail. But it's not sexy. People don't want to see that. They just want, I want shredded abs and I want it in 2 weeks. They don't care. And so then they're doing this, they're peaking, they're doing really well, and then they crash and peak and crash. And really that's what the diet industry is based off of. And that's why it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually wrote about this, and I had a podcast about this within the last week, is that the health and fitness industry is just that. It's an industry. And if they were giving folks out there all the necessary information, and they weren't just giving them these short-term quick fix strategies where they see a lot of progress in a short period of time, but they don't really know what to do to sustain that progress, then they're going to need the next program. And that's how companies, not to really look down on any, but that's how companies like Beachbody and stuff like that get people to go from program to program to program instead of making the necessary changes. And you're right, it's definitely not sexy. And I've lost 100 pounds from my heaviest to where I am now. And I can definitely tell you that I tried the quick fix stuff, and I would see for a month or two it would work, and then it would stop working, and then I try the next one and the next one, and it's not the best way to go about it. So you have to really instill healthy lifestyle habits like eating right and fitness. You don't have to be perfect by any means, but
Right.
If you're looking for something to happen in 3 to 6 months, and then just waiting again and reverting back to old habits, it's never going to have permanent change.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think people just rely on that quick fix and then they don't really think about the long term because it's never brought up, because it's difficult for someone trying to sell you something to tell you it's going to take a long time, to tell you it's going to take sacrifice, to tell you it's going to take change. People don't want to hear that. They want to hear, what can I do right now? Because I've got this event in 2 weeks and I need to slim down. So, I don't care about all this other stuff, but can you just let me know how I can lose this weight? And people just they don't want to realize that they're their own worst enemy. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not, you have to be the bad guy and say like, look, you got yourself in this situation. Now we have to get you out. And it's not going to be easy.
Right. And one of the first things I do with my clients, and I'm definitely interested in hearing what you do, is before we even tackle nutrition or we even tackle fitness, we go after mindset stuff. So I have a little worksheet I have them work on for a week, and then we will set up a call or a meeting, depending on if they're in person or online. And basically, it identifies, what are you thinking? Because most people, they may not have the type of knowledge about nutrition and biology like you or I do, but most people can agree, eating pizza every day is not a good idea. Drinking
Right.
beer every day is not a good idea, and so
Right.
on. So when they're knowingly sabotaging themselves and their health and their weight, why are they doing that? And then once we're able to nip the emotional trigger or triggers in the bud, then they have no excuses. Then they
Right.
have to go and commit 100%. But I'm very interested to hear how you approach that aspect, because obviously that's something we both deal with our clients.
Yeah, I approach it in two different ways. I approach it before someone even becomes my client. I approach it in a way where, I get on the phone with them and I say, we go through a series of whatever they start to trust me because I'm open and I be vulnerable about myself, because they need to hear that you're a real person too. And I just ask them straight up, I'm like, why is this different? Why is this time different? What is it? What is so bad about the situation that you're in? Because usually when you can identify, when someone can identify the hell that they're in, the deep, deep hell, I mean, they're saying like, oh, I just really want to fit in my jeans because I don't
Yeah.
feel good. It's like, that's not good enough. Like, why? Is it because you don't feel good in your jeans, so you don't want to pick up your kids from school because you're embarrassed and now you're emotionally disconnected and that's leading to relationship problems and work problems? Like, you have to really dig. And so if I can identify those things, I will take them on as a client, because that right away sets the tone for me and them saying, okay, this is not like things were before. I am going to make you feel uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, things start to change.
Hmm.
And so I do a similar tactic to you. We go through failure triggers, why they're doing it, identifying that hell that they're in, that heaven that they want to achieve, that future casting, understanding failure triggers, like I said, other pieces of the puzzle like emotional eating, those kind of things. So we really do dig into that. It is still the health and fitness business. So I try to give them quick wins with long-term gains. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Because
Hmm.
you have to, because if we don't, then you lose complete motivation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And because of the quick fix society mentality, there has to, and it's so instilled in all of us. I mean, you mentioned, I have my phone right here as well, and if we want to watch whatever we want to watch, just a couple clicks on the TV, and we're on Netflix or Hulu, whatever. We can order takeout. We can even have our groceries delivered. We literally don't have to leave the house if we don't want to.
Right. It's scary.
Yeah, it really is, and it's only getting worse with drones and stuff. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's quick fix mentality, and it's overcoming that. But in the beginning, yes, it is very important. I agree, to give them some short term goals that are achievable and that they can go on. So we kind of touched on this, but I want to dive into it a little deeper. So you mentioned that people like to yo-yo, or they don't like to, but they tend to yo-yo with their weight from one diet to the next, or one fitness methodology to the next. So why do you think that is? Why do you think so many people just don't stay true to one thing?
It's almost counterintuitive to think about, but it's easy. It's
Mm-hmm.
easy to do that. It's easy to say, I want to lose 30 pounds, and you lose 30 pounds, and then the person's like, I'm going to celebrate by eating a pizza. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what is the mental connection there? It's like you're working so hard to do something that's really sabotaging the entire reason why you started.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easy. It's easy to boom and bust.
Right.
It's hard to maintain most of the typical diets that you see that will get you long-term results,
Mm-hmm.
or that get you short-term results. The
Right.
long-term results, it's not a diet. Like, it shouldn't be a diet. Really, when I talk to my clients, I'm like, you don't want to be on a diet forever, because that means that you're disciplined. And
Mm-hmm.
really, discipline infers that your natural nature is not discipline. And
Right.
so it's weird, it's like you're forcing yourself to do something. Like, I'm forcing myself to be disciplined. When it's a habit, it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's a habit when you repeat something over time and you get that repetition. So, every morning, most people brush their teeth. That's a habit. You don't really think about it, you just do it. And so that is what is difficult to achieve. And so that's why people yo-yo, because it takes time. It takes being uncomfortable, talking about things that you've done in the past, the reasons why you eat or overeat or don't exercise or make excuses for not exercising, because it's uncomfortable for the person. So it's much easier to just say, oh, I'm on this new diet. Do it for a couple weeks. You feel great about yourself. And then it stops working. And then you self-sabotage. And then you go back in that same cycle.
Right. Exactly. And yeah, I think the key to long-term sustained success is to simplify everything. And I'm sure you've heard the acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid. I can't even say it.
Right.
But yeah, that's how you need to approach these things. And I love the using a toothbrush mentality, because it's the same exact thing. It's small repeated actions done every day. Well, eventually it takes, I believe it's 56 to 60 days to form a habit.
Something like that. And
Yeah.
it's like a kid doesn't, you're not born brushing your teeth.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you've created that habit over time, because in society, we've deemed that is a necessary piece of being hygienic, and that it's accepted in society. So your parents instill in you, brush your teeth, brush your teeth, brush your teeth. After a certain amount of times, it's just, you brush your teeth. Like, that's just what happens. So I think it's important, like you said, it doesn't have to be an overhaul of your life. It's small, sustained things, every day, every other day, or even a correction of bad habits to new habits,
Right.
where that is a conscious correction of doing something differently is what creates that habit forming mentality in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I just visited with a new client, and she was asking me, what she could do about nutrition. And she said her main issue is, sugar. She'll attempt to turn to cookies and stuff like that. And I said, well, that's easy. If you're just snacking on junk, get rid of the junk. You can replace it with, some fruits and, some nuts, something like that. And that's a much healthier option to snack on. So you can still snack when you feel like you need to snack. Just don't snack on that. And, that's what, that people don't realize, that that's all you need to do. It's not, going on this insanely restrictive diet that you're going to have to follow forever, because no one's going to do that. That's why these don't work. And
right, of course.
And you mentioned yesterday too, like the shiny object syndrome.
We're just like, whatever's next, like next. We've got that. We just want it so bad. We want something new. We want the next best thing. Like, okay, we hear, there's so many labels. There's paleo, there's keto, there's vegan, there's vegetarian, there's ovo, lacto, whatever. There's, like semi-paleo. It's like, they don't make sense. People want to find something that they can label themselves with, because they think that's going to be the thing that's going to save them, where it's not necessarily the label. It's just doing something.
Right.
Like, pretty much everything works if you do it. But the problem is people don't do it. So
yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. So, picking now from diet to mindset. So, what role do you feel mindset plays in long-term health and fitness? We've touched on this a little bit so far, but now let's take everything full circle.
I mean, I think it really is the linchpin, because everybody can diet. Everybody can force themselves to exercise, but not everybody can change their mindset to create healthy habits for their new lifestyle. And that's where I've seen the most long-term success is the people that have this dialed, because everything else follows suit. Like if you have a reason and you fix your failure triggers and you understand why you're doing this and how important it is to you to change, then the nutrition and the exercise just follow because it makes sense. It's logical. When you try to do it the other way around, it's like you're jamming a square peg into a round hole. You're not understanding the reasons. And so you're just like, I have to do this. It's like you're a little kid getting punished.
Right.
We want to do what we can't do. And so we always have this like, oh, I'm on a diet, but I'm going to cheat today. I'm going to have this. Instead of just being like, actually, I don't really want that. Like, it doesn't appeal to me because I'm running now. My body's running so well that I think like I'm mindful that if I eat this, I will feel like crap. Like it's that intermediary between doing and thinking that people in the long term don't connect. Like it has so much to do with your mind. It's the most powerful thing in your body.
Yeah, absolutely. And, throw on top of that too, just how processed foods and sugars and things like that do affect your mind, because it does alter your brain chemistry, and it is a physically and mentally addictive substance. So if people are ingesting copious amounts, which most people do, and I used to too, like my biggest downfall was my sweet tooth. It really does falter or mess up everything. And it's really important that you're able to cut that out. But you're right. You have to have that mentality. And it's not just, oh, I'm on a diet, I'm going to cheat today, and then I'm going to get right back on. Because, that's never going to work. It's never going to last. And you need to make permanent, sustainable change.
Yeah. And like what you said about the mental addiction piece, it is completely a mental addiction. It's actually sugar has been likened to cocaine in the same, so this is going to get a little sciencey, but the same neurotransmitter release in your brain, like dopamine and serotonin, like those feel good endorphins, same things get released when you have that sugar rush. And what's scary is you develop actually a dependency, but the more that you have, the more that you need to achieve that high. It's just like a drug, and if you asked a person who was addicted to cocaine to stop using cocaine, it's not like that. It takes time because you've abused your brain and now it's craving those endorphins. But the good thing is exercise releases the same thing. So, we can get around it somehow, but it is important to realize that it actually is an addiction.
Oh yeah, it absolutely is an addiction, and people need to realize that. And just not to get too much more sciencey, but it does trigger something called the insulin resistance cycle, which can not only lead to insulin resistance, which is a precursor to type 2 diabetes, which is a gateway disease to heart disease, various forms of cancer, Alzheimer's, a whole slew of things. But it also leads to fat storage and fat accumulation. So if your body's producing so much insulin so regularly, you're really not only harming your mind, but you're also harming your body. And a lot of folks will find that once they have weaned themselves off of sugar and they've eliminated it from their diets or minimized it at the very least, their palate changes, and half the stuff that they liked, whether it's cookies or ice cream or whatever,
doesn't taste good anymore, or it's like too much. They're like, whoa, like it's crazy sweet, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah, and it's almost like you have a hangover effect too. So if you do have a similar amount to what you had been having, you'll wake up the next day, or even it'll hit you later that night. I know this from personal experience too. And it feels like you drank half a bottle of tequila. It's crazy.
Crazy in a haze, like your brain's in a fog.
Yeah, and it's huge to overcome brain fog by eliminating that. So, all right, was there anything else you wanted to add before we signed off?
No, I just think it's the importance of, taking action on really what you want to achieve, and realizing that if you truly want to have that lifestyle change where you don't think about having to walk by a donut shop and be like, oh, I really want a donut. Like if you want that change, you have to start taking responsibility for yourself. Like you can have the greatest coach and the greatest program and everybody on your side, but if you're not ready, it's never going to happen. So you need to have that really uncomfortable conversation with yourself and say, why is this time different? Am I really ready to change? Because it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be so worth it. So that's really the biggest thing that I wanted to harp on, is just take action on something.
Yeah. And it's definitely better to go about it with small repeated actions every day, like we talked about earlier. Trying to build Noah's Ark or something in one day, it ain't gonna happen. So it's just small repeated actions, small tweaks, small changes, and then you can gradually add to them over time if you see fit. And that's something I personally struggle with on my journey, and I had to have that conversation with myself at first. And my primary motivator was spite. Just all the kids that made
Whatever
fun of me
works.
when I was a kid. Yeah. But once I got to where I was, and I've been transparent about that with my clients and people who follow me. Last fall, actually, I was single digits body fat. I had abs. I was looking and feeling better than I ever had. I was on point with everything. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to let myself go. And I gained 15 pounds in a month. And I was like, wow, I really need to, talk to myself and realize, okay, now that I have nothing to prove to anybody, I need to do this for myself. So it's important, like you said, everybody needs to take it for themselves. They can't do it for anyone else or for some other reason. That will only get them so far. If you want it to be sustained success, you have to understand that you're doing it for you.
Yep. Just take ownership of your life.
Exactly. All right. So they can find, you can find Meredith at sveltetraining.com, right?
Yep. Exactly.
You can check me out at weightlossbypete.com. And I appreciate you guys watching. Tune in every day. We're doing a podcast every day, and hope to talk to you guys soon. Take it easy.
See ya.
Hey guys, Pete Weintraub here. I'm a permanent weight loss specialist. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you can do me a favor, please click the link below and subscribe to the channel. Every day I'm going to be popping out new content that will enable you to learn more about nutrition, fitness, and mindset as it relates to permanent weight loss. Now, there's a million programs out there that talk about how to lose weight. There are shows on TV like Extreme Weight Loss and The Biggest Loser. The problem is all of these show short-term fixes that aren't exactly healthy either. I'm more about doing this in a healthy, sustainable way so that you can achieve permanent results. So you only have to do this once. So what I'd like to gift you, if you're interested, is check out my website at weightlossbypete.com. There's going to be an opt-in on the page where you can get a free report detailing the 5 strategies that I personally used to lose 100 pounds, keep it off for good, and now my mission is to help as many people as I can to do the same without the research, trial and error, and years spent plateauing, not knowing what to do from a nutritional, fitness, or even mental standpoint. So check that out. I'd love to gift that to you. And feel free to check out the channel and any upcoming videos. Feel free to go back and look at my older ones. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll talk to you tomorrow.